Welcome, my acolytes. I'm Graveseeker, and this is actual reaction to a Spanish streamer named Rubius. And I probably am butchering that, but it is what it is. And he actually made a really baddest decision of just going out after a few that in the no, let me restart this, acolytes. After he seen or he heard that in this game Spider-Man 2, one of the characters actually uses gender-neutral words, he quit streaming. And the shock of him, it's just But I also gonna react to Asmongold's reaction to it because I find it funny. And Asmongold is a guy where I think we have a lot of thinking in common, and it just feels better that way because he has some insight I actually quite like to see and hear about it. And more often than not, he has information that I don't got. And in those cases, it's maybe a bit nicer, and maybe I have some information where I can just add something to his information. So let's start. Let's look at them. By the way, if you like this, my content, like, subscribe, leave a comment, notification, blah, blah, blah. Good. Let's start.
Rubius mutes Spider-Man 2 after hearing gender-neutral Spanish.
Mutes. I am sorry. I got so... I had to laugh so hard about it. Mutes. I am sorry.
Y encima ha contratado a mi científica de abejas favorite, la apidóloga Jong. Es la mayor experta en el desorden de colapso de colonias. Sí, toca el ukelele que te mueres, como saben quienes le siguen en redes sociales. Así que, joven Osborn, tu fundación tiene mucho que hacer para reparar el legado de tu padre. Pero por ahora vas bien. Cool. No olvidéis pagar el alquiler el día 1.
Sí, no. No.
Nope.
I love this part so much. This is so beautiful. I have to say, oh damn, Latinx bullshit. I love that. Yeah, understandable, by the way, because I am not a Spanish guy. I'm a Polish man living in Germany, but a Polish lich. I am sorry about that. Never fell out of the role. No, but literally, they are appropriating a freaking language just because of their feelings. This is so hilarious. This is so freaking... And I'm gonna be honest, like... okay, let's just wait how Esmond reacts to it.
Turn that shit up. So basically, is this like a continuation of Western cultures appropriating the Spanish language and the Spanish culture to incorporate non-gender conforming language? Is this more of it?
Yes, it is. And it's so freaking sad to see it, that the racism of those people just runs through this like that. Because let's be honest here, this cultural appropriation is just a different word for racism. It is what it is, because your motivation to change a language, that's, by the way, after my knowing, it's pretty, I think it's called romanticized. I'm not sure about that, but it's, the Spanish language is female and male for the most time. It has those words are female and male, and it's most of the time in that category. And yes, by the way, this also happens with German, with the German language, because yes, it's the same thing in Germany. Not as extreme as the Spanish goes, and with Polish, because Polish, and those are the two things I'm 100% sure about, because first of all, I grew up in Poland. I know how the language is. This is my, as we call it in Germany, Muttersprache. That's my very first language. I know that. This is, and yes, we also gender our words. But the Polish people aren't as nice about it. If you exchange something, talk to them directly, they most likely tell you some chosen words. And the Germany, well, the Germans are more a bit of, let's just be honest, weak about it, and the exchanges actually come, they accept it, but it's not that accepted, and except for a few morons that actually do it.
Yes, okay. On behalf of all Americans that are not mentally ill, I'd like to apologize to the Spanish community. We don't want this either. We think it's just as ridiculous as you do, and in fact, we're even more embarrassed because it's our people doing it. This is outrageous. It's patronizing. It's unironically cultural appropriation.
Yes, and as I understand it from the people I talk from America, normal people, as I want to say, as Asmongold said, not mentally ill people, or as I would say, those not racist fucks, non-racist fucks, normal people actually don't want that, because they see for what it is. It's bullshit. And I find that the excuse is just creme de la creme.
It's insane.
Yes, it's...
And I think the worst part about it is the fact that it is one of these things where they're doing this to be more inclusive and understanding, but they're going into somebody else's space and changing it without their consent.
And I would agree with it, but I would exchange it for going into somebody's space because the motivation of it is racist. I wholeheartedly believe that people who do that exchange languages like that just do it, they just don't like the specific language, and they think that their specific thing, their specific belief is so good that they have to change everything because everything is inferior to them. And most racist people, from my understanding, have also think that their culture, the way they think, is the top thing that there is. So it's basically the same for me. In my eyes, it's exactly the same.
They're changing the language that they don't even speak in often cases.
Yeah.
Because
True.
it disagrees with their worldview. Oh, you're
Correct.
not going to change the language. I think this is a massive Rubius W.
Yep.
Having your language changed by a developer that is not even from your fucking country, to change it in order to make it inclusive to Western values.
That don't even speak.
This is
the language.
outrageous. It's absolutely outrageous. It's the oxymoron. Yes, it's the patronizing nature of it. It is cultural imperialism. Yes, it is. Now, if they want to put the option in the game, it's fine, but don't have it as a default.
No, it's not fine.
It's
not fine. It's not fine even having the option for it, because it's literally, if you speak with a normal Spanish person, they think that's bullshit. And if then you actually think, oh no, I know better than them, yeah, sorry. No, it's not. No, not even an option. No, not for the Spanish people, because this is a joke. This is, you're literally spitting in the face of Spanish people with this.
The option, it's not fine. It's not the Spanish language. These are made up words that people that probably don't even speak Spanish have invented.
Yes.
It's not fine at all.
Yes.
It's outrageous that this is even a question. These people are inventing new words for a language and a culture they're not even a part of because it doesn't fit with their worldview.
I'm sorry. No. I should have heard him to say. As he said, for language and culture, they don't use, basically. Yes, I agree with that. They invent an extra language, extra words that doesn't exist. That's what I actually wanted to say.
Basado, yeah, there you go. I'm assuming I know what that means, right? He turns off the podcast. What's this here? A couple hours. He's a trend. Yeah, for sure. To be fair, all language is made up. Well, then isn't that fair for people to say we don't like what you made?
Correct.
I think it's very fair.
Yeah, and
I
even
think
if
that most
something's made up-
reasonable people think of
No.
the idea that you need to change the Spanish language at a fundamental level. I'm not a Spanish speaker. Maybe it's not a fundamental level, but based off of my limited understanding, it seems like it is. You need to change the Spanish language on a fundamental level in order to incorporate language that might not offend a small subset of people. This is an outrageous thing to even assert or to even consider.
Yes, I agree with that, and I wouldn't even say you have to go as far as a language. It's already enough if you, let's just say, and I think this is something that hits home way more people. If you work or you do something, you cook something, you work with wood and slice it up, or you're smithing something, or it's irrelevant, cutting meat in a certain way, and somebody comes in and says, you have to change it because I know better than you. And no, and my thing is even wrong. If you master those things, because Spanish people live in their culture, they speak this language, they know better than a freaking some idiot that just wants a change because of some ideological thing. It's so they mastered it. So if you master something, let's just say you cut potatoes, masterful, and somebody else that has no idea what you are talking because they think they can do better than you. You cut the potato, by the way, for 20 years, and the guy that's like a week in it says, no, you have to change it because I say so. You're also insulted. Yeah. Fuck him.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
Yes, and it is ridiculous.
Everybody's just spoken about his favorite English chambers before. You're on that list. Well, I tell him I appreciate it. Absolutely. Nice. Yeah, I hope that he knows that, obviously they're in the Spanish community. It's a whole different situation over there. But the fact is that most people here in the U.S. think it's even more ridiculous than he does. Yeah. I think that he is more offended. We're more embarrassed.
Yeah. I also think so.
This gender-neutral language, I don't understand. I think the idea is that with gender-neutral language, a lot of words in Spanish, and again, like I don't really know what I'm talking about here.
Just for those that might have the same question, I'm gonna do it a bit easier than he probably does.
So
because he goes out on a freaking rant in specifically Spanish. But I think the gender neutral language is simply if you have something that represents a male or female sound, or just if you talk and it has a male or female meaning. Yeah, it's basically just how you speak the word in a male or female way. That's the gendered language. A non-gendered language would be then that you take the gendered thing out. So it's no longer female or male associated, but it's neutral. And in English, I don't think there are that many things I can... Wait, can I? A hunter or a huntress. Let's just say those two words. Let's just pretend that the huntress exists because I don't think it's a real word. Maybe it is. I'm not sure about it. But the hunter has a male sounding behind it, and the huntress has a female sound behind it. So if you want to make it neutral, it would be hunting. Let's just say it like that, so you know what it's meant. But he goes on something a bit different. So let's hear him out.
If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. A lot of words in Spanish end with either A or O. And like words that end generally with O are masculine words, and words that end with A are generally feminine words. And many words in Spanish are part of the two-gender dichotomy.
Yep.
And people are trying to change that because it does not fit with their worldview. And they're doing that. And I think that also a lot of the people that are trying to change this are not native Spanish speakers. They are English speakers, which is what I think makes it even more annoying.
annoying
and patronizing.
It's literally spitting in the Spanish people's face.
So that's what I think. Words in Spanish have genders, in a general sense. That's my understanding. Again, I don't know. It's called a romance language, masculine and feminine. Again, I don't know a whole lot about it, so I'll take your word for it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, maybe I'll ask what
Polish language is the same. Words have genders too. Yeah, I just think that there are people that are trying to reinvent the rules of existence. They're trying to rewrite languages that are 1,000 years old, and a lot of people aren't having it.
Yes, because it's bullshit.
And I'm sure Rubius has gotten some pushback for this.
Of course.
I just hope he knows that all of the normal people agree with him. Come to fuck on. Stop ruining Spanish with this bullshit.
Yeah, by the way, I really hope that most people know that if you get shit for that, for something like that, that it's basically from some minority insane group, and just, I would say, I don't know, ignore, block them. I mean, I have 26 subscribers, and even I got shit for that, so, and it's just funny to me, so I don't know. It's just, I think that those are just people that are bored. I mean, some racist people that are bored, because, as I said, I still think those people are racist, just in a different way. It's...
Stop ruining, yeah, of course. Of fucking course. It's not even a question. Same with German. I don't know about German. I have no idea. Like Spanish, you gotta remember, okay? I'm in Texas here, okay? So, you know what you used to call Texas? Mexico. So, there's a lot of Mexicans here in former Mexico. And I hear a lot of Spanish all the time. So, German, not so much. And let's see here. It's a lot of languages, yeah.
Yeah.
Bad argument, languages evolve over time. Does that mean every evolution of language is good? What about people that use that argument for saying that using slurs was now acceptable because languages evolve over time? I think that you're selectively applying an argument whenever you don't actually agree with the principle, you only agree with the application. So you shouldn't use a principle-based argument whenever you don't really believe the principle.
I agree.
Nice try, though.
Nice try, yeah.
I did the right thing. Yeah, exactly. They tried pushing Latinx, yeah. Basically what this should be renamed as is bigoted Latinx streamer Rubius. Mute Spider-Man 2 after hearing inclusive language. Pretty fucked up of Rubius to do that. Wow. How horrible. Well, every language evolution is good because language is about transfer information smoothly. What about words that are not for transferring information smoothly, like you?
No. I mean, yes, you're in a small context, you're right, but no. If you invent a new word, then it's basically you don't give the information. It's done. Like, most people don't know what you mean with that. Normal people, or the information that you give them is, well, I'm an asshole and I don't want to talk to you because I think I'm better than you. Most people will just say, okay, F off. Because that's the information you give normal people. If you start to argue with them like that, or if you do, yeah, sorry.
Euphemisms. So again, like, you don't understand language very well and you're making arguments that don't make sense. There are actually words that are used to conceal meaning more often than display it.
Yes.
So let's go ahead and why don't you just go ahead, just please stop trying to make arguments you don't understand. Same as doublespeak. Yes, exactly. Let's see this here. It's not gambling if you don't get your money's worth. Yep. And I think, again, yeah, this is... were people mad about this on Twitter?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. If the purpose is to conceal meaning, then why speak in the first place? Bad argument. Because people want to communicate an idea without revealing the intention of the idea. Or the depth of the idea. There's coded language. It isn't as always evolved from Latin to Spanish, for example. All languages evolve. Well, isn't it the right of the people who speak the language and are part of the culture to collectively agree or disagree on the way that it evolves?
Yes. And yes, I agree with him, because if you say, well, the language evolves in that way, no, it's a small subgroup that agrees with you. The rest, 99.99% of the people that actually live there disagree with you. So, get fucked.
And every single evolution of language is not necessarily a good thing or a bad thing. It depends on what the evolution is. I think this idea that saying that evolution evolves, it is a living language, I think that you are right about that. But whenever these decisions are being made, and it seems that, seemingly, right? Seemingly, a very small fraction of people want this. Like, I think this is probably a single-digit percentage of people that are probably native Spanish speakers that actually want their language to be forcibly changed because of Western values. I think so. So, like, really, and also, like, maybe I'm wrong, right? I'm not in the Spanish community. Maybe I don't understand this, but this is my read on the situation. So, like, how is that okay?
Correct. How is that okay? How's it okay to cater
what's this here? Everybody mocks us on here? Yeah, exactly. Why the fuck are Americans telling me how I should speak my language?
Correct, yeah.
There it is. Evolution of language is the wrong word to use here. Language is expanding. Most importantly, Spanish language evolution belongs to the Spanish people, not Americans. Yep, I definitely agree. Absolutely.
Yep.
And probably a divisive topic as it is there, as it is in the U.S. And yeah, I don't understand their culture that well. So I'm just making my guess. That's what I'm saying. I think anybody getting mad about this is very. I think it reveals a lot whenever people get mad at somebody for not wanting to hear something. Because everybody always says, "Oh, you can turn it off if you want." Then somebody turns it off, and then they say, "Well, you shouldn't have turned it off." See,
Yep.
People don't want you to be able to, have the people don't want to have the option to be heard. They want to be heard, and they want you to have to listen to them. That's just how.
Yes and no, because I would say there is a subgroup that wants to be heard, and there are nice people for that. Then there is a subfaction that actually wants you to learn what they want to say, but don't want to hear you out. That's also a thing. And then the freaking one of the biggest F-ups I see is if somebody just wants you to accept if somebody just wants to talk to you, so you agree 100% with him, and if you don't, they just bully you into doing it or threaten you with consequences. Those are like big assholes.
How it is.
But it's a small group.
Language evolves naturally and not by force. Exactly.
Correct.
Associate
Yeah.
Academies, Spanish language is ultimate authority on the Spanish language.
Oh,
yeah, but
and by the way, what I want to say to that is, if you do something by force, if you put in force, an equal amount of force will come clashing back. It is what it is.
I think there's always going to be like the local usage of language versus the official usage of language, right? I think English is a great example of that, where like cause, C-A-U-S-E, is used instead of because all the time. I think people getting mad at them for turning it off are as stupid as people getting mad at the game for having the option. I disagree. I think that a game going in and forcibly changing language based on an ideology that's not reflected by the people that are part of that actual language, especially whenever they're not part of that culture. Like, this is an American-made game. Spider-Man is an American superhero. That's just the truth. So whenever you're going and you're making something, this is an American studio made this game, and you're making changes and stuff like that. This is like generally why it's okay for us to make fun of like more, like Catholic and like Christian stuff, but we don't make fun of as much like Hinduism or like Muslim stuff or Jewish stuff. It's because that's not our culture. Whenever you're going into other cultures and then changing their stuff, then it becomes patronizing. Does that make sense?
Patronizing, yes.
Religion is not culture. Religion is absolutely culture. You are insane if you think otherwise.
No,
religion is 100% culture.
Religion is a culture, but let's just say it's maybe not so much a culture. It melts with culture pretty heavily, and in some cases it's in this you cannot see those two things apart. and I see it in Germany and in Poland both. There are just some things that are eaten in the culture from religion, like eating, was it 11 or 12 meals on Weihnachten? Yeah, 11 or 12 meals. I don't remember the exact count of it in Poland. After you have the holidays, the Weihnachten, the how is it called again? Christmas. At Christmas, you eat 12 different dishes, and that's in Poland. And that's a religious practice, basically. But it's also in the culture, at least in the part where I was. And in Germany, you don't have it anywhere. You just eat your dish, and that's fine at Christmas time. So there are differences, and as I said, I'm not even religious, it's just the culture. This is the thing we actually did in our house, or how my house isn't or wasn't religious at all, but still this came into the culture, this bleeded in the culture, and it just got accepted.
Culture.
Oh yeah, and by the way, in Poland you also give out an extra dish, an extra. You just make an extra dish for someone that could come and actually eat with you. So you make prepare a place for that. That's here in Germany. That's not the way it is.
I would say like religion is like the fabric of culture. It's so crazy to me that people live in such a tremendously disconnected fantasy world that consists of Twitter and a few of their own echo chambers that they've convinced themselves to believe things like all language changes over time are good and religion isn't part of culture. There are some people who have successfully detached themselves from reality in an absolute way. It's insane. Classic imperial snowflakes, but here in Latin America, the movement of gender-neutral language also exists already. I don't think it's American imposition in this case. I don't know if it's people working on the Spanish version were not already in Spanish. Maybe they were. I don't know, really. Well, either way, this is all I can say, all right? I can't go and speak for every Spanish person. But here's what I can say. Is that every instance of this that I have ever seen online, everybody overwhelmingly hates it.
Yes. And by the way, he says online, I know Spanish people, I know Mexicans, and I know a few Italians. I know a lot. Let's just say a lot. And nobody likes that. In real life, real people with whom I talk, nobody likes it. I never met someone that actually says, yeah, this is a good thing, or I don't care about it. People genuinely don't like it.
That's what it comes down to. Doesn't matter what platform I'm on or whatever, except for maybe a couple of like very extreme echo chambers. Yeah, everybody hates it. So I can't compare every single person that speaks Spanish. But whenever I see something like this happening, and every single person who's talking about this and expressing an opinion on it is one way, then that's going to lead me to believe that's what people think. Almost everyone pushes back against change. English also used to assign gender to words. We really miss it. But I don't think that it's what I'm saying is I don't think this is an American studio's decision to make. And I think that, again, every time that I hear people talking about this, actual people that say, at least, it's the internet, so you can't really, you can't go and background search people or background check everybody, every commenter. But every time that I hear people talking and they say, hey, I'm from a Spanish community, hey, I'm from this country, I have never seen a person like that say that they like it. And for the people that I have that did say they like it, it's like a 100 to 1. And it's a lot better than a 10 to 1. And that's the point that I'm making. I'm a native Spanish speaker, and I hate the bastardization of our language. Gender pronouns in Spanish allow for agreeance between the noun and the modifiers for quantity. It did not need to be reinvented in the 21st century by Spanish-speaking Americans or Spanish-speaking Europeans. Well, you know more about it than I do. There you go.
Yeah.
Also, this isn't a new issue. It's been discussed in Spain for nearly a decade now. I would say that in the context of language, 10 years is relatively new. I'm a Spanish speaker and I hate it too, especially the Latinx bullshit. But it's just a video game based on a fictional character. Well, if it's just...
I joked with one of my colleagues in work and I just told him, hey, Latinx. And he almost slapped me. He was, if you say that bullshit again, I'm gonna freaking slap you. I don't want to hear it. It was fucking funny. And calm guy, by the way. Never outraged even things. And it was just, I was surprised. And it was, damn. People don't like it. People don't like it.
Just a video game based on a fictional character, then why does it have to reflect real world values? Why does it exist to begin with? How can you say that, oh, it doesn't matter? Why does it matter that it exists? Well, it matters because you said that it mattered because you put it in there. You can't do something, and then whenever people say, why did you do it? You can't use the argument, oh, it doesn't matter why I did it. It shouldn't matter anyway. Well, if it didn't matter, then you wouldn't do it. The vaguely anti-West stuff, a bit weird. People in the U.S. should not forcefully change the Spanish language. I think that there are a lot of people in the greater world that do not like how much the West forces culture on the rest of the world, and how much the West asserts that their culture is morally superior in all ways to other parts of the world.
Yes.
And of course, if you are in the West, you probably don't feel this way because this is your culture. I do think that there are a lot of people, you have to keep in mind, the majority of people are not, in the world, are not part of this group. And I will also say that I think Western culture, from my perspective, especially in terms of, you know, like the Socratic method, democracy, the ancient Greeks, which is like what a lot of it is built off of, I think this is the best attempt at civilization we've ever had. I am a Western civilization enjoyer. I love it. However, I am not going to go over to Saudi Arabia, over to Spain, over to Brazil, over to China, over to Russia, and tell them, hey, I've got this great idea, now you have to do it. That's why. That's the difference. It's respect. Spain's part of the West?
Yep.
I think you could be right about that. Maybe Spain is probably a bad example, but I'd go with all the other ones on the list. Yeah. Like W, it's Twitter logic. Yep. Spain's not a Western country. I guess usually I other Spain because they speak a different language, and also they're generally part of a different culture on Twitch. Probably Spain was a bad example, now that I think about it. Yeah, Spain's Western? Sure. But either way, I think that the same, again, it's not really the point. The point is that there's a million other countries that I listed as well that I think do make sense. So yeah, put respect back on cultures. Exactly. People just want to revolutionize the world. Exactly. They want to revolutionize the world, and they think they have the moral authority to push it on everybody else, even if they don't want it. There are a lot of things that people do not like, that I'm not a fan of in other countries. A lot of things other countries don't do, or they do,
agree with that,
and I don't like them, or they don't do, and I don't like them.
The person, but
and you know what I do?
If someone normal comes
I say that sucks.
I know that. Yeah.
Maybe one day they'll change that. And I just let them live what they're going to live. Let them do what they're going to do. And that's their right. It's their culture. It's their business, and it's not mine. If everybody hates it, then why does nearly every dev studio include it then? Because most people, I think that the truth is that most people don't really notice it a lot. And I think also this is probably a game that is being released primarily for English-speaking audiences. So whenever a game like this gets released, you don't really see a lot of that pushback on these kind of niche elements of the game, because these niche elements aren't really being shown to that many people that are part of that culture. I think that's why. Like, that's a much more logical reason than some kind of like ESG thing. I mean, it could be that too. As a part of the entertainment industry, culture of accepting is much more pronounced than in the West of the world. Yeah, all I'm saying is that whenever you take the rest of the world and then you try to tell them that they need to have the same culture, that's patronizing. I don't believe in can't judge other cultures. Some cultures are better than others. Some are the most illiberal than others. Oh, I agree. I have an opinion. So, like, this is really kind of the difference. I think it's about, you can have an opinion about somebody, but you can still respect what they do. I think it's about a certain level of respect. And also, like, yes, obviously, the Middle East has a number of policies that I'm not a big fan of. But you know what else I'm not a policy fan of? Invading the Middle East and bombing them for 20 years. And if I'm going to look at, like, which one is worse, guys, we're not looking too good, are we?
Yes, and as he said, yes, there is a certain respect of it, and this is just not given from those people. And one point that I want to mention again, or at least because it's a small minority, why do they do this in the game? I mean, the game devs there are just, or the voice actor is just, I don't know who decides this kinds of shit for that, but at the end of the day, it's the decision of the executives. If they want this thing in, it's in. It is what it is. But for now, my acolytes, I hope you enjoyed that, and good night.